Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Soul Potential CEO podcast. Today I have a special guest, Robin Dinaso, who is founder of Rhythmic Being. And I'm so excited you're here. Thanks for joining, Robin.
Thanks for having me.
So let's dive in. Okay. Today we're talking about living rhythms, and I'm so excited to have you here because I know that your business is focused around rhythms in general and especially patterns. You specialize in helping clients dive into these sticky patterns and release them. But in your own words, I would love to hear what your calling is. What do you feel passionate about, and what do you do?
Oh, that's a big question. I feel the most passionate about people breaking free from where they're stuck. I have seen in my lifetime so many people be stuck and not know why, or going through this arduous process or continual counseling that they're in, and even close family members, especially, and feeling so wrong about themselves and so bad about who they are. When I really paid attention to it, they didn't really know who they were. Like, they didn't take that time to have those in-depth questions with themselves. They seemed to just be so caught up in who they were told that they were. So all of the conditioning, the programming, how we were raised. They always say in psychology that we pretty much absorbed everything from 0 to 7 years old. And I just would watch it, especially in my career, and it just had a certain feel in me growing up in that way as well, being heavily conditioned to be good and do what I say and no, you can't really do what you want. And you just take all of that on. I felt like I woke up one day as an adult and was just like, what am I doing?
It's so funny you bring that up because I was watching a television series last night that I just absolutely love. And one of the main characters came out and said, I want you to choose your next step in this journey. He was talking to another character in the story, and he goes, I lived my entire life not even knowing that was a possibility for me. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, so relate. Like the power of being able to choose what you focus on or choose to recondition yourself or have your own patterns is, it seems so obvious, but for so many people, it's not. So I'd love to hear how you have gone from a transition in your career into what it is that you're doing now and hear more about what that is.
Yeah. My career, I was a registered nurse for a really long time, 13 years. Not as long as most, but I got like halfway there, I say. And it was in my 20s that my later 20s that I went to college for nursing. To be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. My grandma was a nurse. My family always told me, just get a good job so you can take care of yourself so you don't have to depend on a man. And so the women, in my family were always like, that was the mindset, right? Even though all of them heavily depended on a man. So it was actually bizarre. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I thought, I'll just go to school to be a nurse, and that's what I'll do. I always found the human body to be fascinating. I loved the anatomy and physiology and the application part. So that I loved. But I did not honestly love nursing school. It was really treacherous. They looked at you and were like, at the beginning, kiss your family goodbye for the next 2 years. This will own you. And so that's the tone that they sat for that, right? I honestly wanted to quit at the very end. Like, I did it the entire time and still wanted to quit. And I thought, you aren't quitting at the very end. Like, you're going to finish this and then you can quit if that's what you wanted to do. But not only did I finish, I carried out my career for 13 years after that and wanted to quit, honestly, the entire time. But what nursing did do for me was I was raised in an environment where I was heavily controlled, so we'll just say I was very sheltered, and it was, like, well-meaning parents, but they were very young when they had me. I was basically raised by my grandparents. My mom was 16 when she had me, and my dad was 19. I had a very interesting upbringing, and it was like, do what I say, heavily controlled, be good, all of that. I was already just primed to do what I was supposed to, very conditioned. I finished nursing school and got a job as a nurse, and I thought it was going to get better and it got worse because come to find out being a nurse is hellish. It's the stuff nobody really talks about. And it was always like that. Left my home state of Michigan to move to California in 2013, and I was just like, "I'm going to do travel nursing." I took off in my car and drove across country and didn't come back for a very long time. I have had several instances along the way where I would think I wanna do something else. I wasn't really sure what that was. I just knew I wanted to be able to help people break free. And I would see these patterns in people where how it felt in me was they weren't really living their own lives. They were living a version of themselves. And I was very aware of it, but they weren't aware of it. And so that's where some of my gifts would really cause a lot of problems for me because I would have this high level sensitivity or high level awareness and I would share that with people and it would not be well accepted. So I had to really just be with the fact that I knew this, they didn't. It became something that really ate at me. Actually, all my awareness and sensitivity became highly irritating to me. And I just started being annoyed by everyone and everything. The ride was real rough for me. It wasn't going well because in doing that, it would cause a lot of internal problems for me. So
When did you decide to put your foot down? What was the point where you realized that you needed to pivot or choose something else?
in 2023 is when I finally said enough is enough. I had a small little situation go on at the last job that I was at. And I literally just was like, I'm so done with this. I have to stop ignoring what it is I want to do. But then I yet again was at that point where I'm like, yeah, but what is it that I really want to do? I just want to have my freedom and to be able to help people on my own terms. And that's all I knew.
How important do you think getting into a strong relationship with your living rhythms or your rhythmic being, as you would say, is in providing clarity and direction for these types of transitions in life?
It's everything because since I was raised to do what I was told, I didn't know how to answer my own questions. I always searched outside of myself. So I guess you could say there was a lot of powerlessness going on. I grew up also in a home with a lot of addiction. I was like born into that. Getting into sourcing from myself was the best and most uncomfortable thing all at the same time because I had no idea what I was doing while simultaneously knowing what I was doing
I
and
mean,
being highly aware and sensitive, feeling so uncomfortable in doing that for myself. You know how, like, a lot of people will help other people because it's easier, but then to do that for themselves, they feel highly uncomfortable with that.
yeah, I can even say that for myself. There's so many things that I can do for others, even in business, that I can't do for myself because I can't see myself in the same way that I can experience someone else. And that makes it hard. And it also makes it difficult to not want to get this feedback or answers from other people. So, how would you say that you walk the line between self authority and then being a source of clarity for other people? Because I know in your work that one of the things that you absolutely provide is that reflection or that clarity.
Sometimes it's moment to moment or it's day to day. I want to just say it like this. You have to get comfortable with not really knowing for
Mm.
sure what the answer is, but also being willing to be very open. I would say how I do it is I'm very open within myself. And even when I feel anxious or scared, I know how to ground myself and just be with myself with my breath and do it scared anyways. Or if I need to say, no, not right now, I have to be okay with that. Or if I'm not really sure, like I'm radically honest with myself, is maybe the best way to say it. I'm radically honest. And if I don't really know, I'll have one person, maybe, yes, just one that I will go to who I know is a sane, sound person that I will ask a clear, direct question to to maybe be like, okay, but really I'm just asking because I want the confirmation of what it is I already know. I'm not asking because I want them to give me the answer because I don't know. Does that make
Yep, absolutely. I operate the same way. I have people in my life that I will ask a question of because I desire to feel the resonance of their answer in myself. I'm not asking because I don't know what to do. In fact, the action of asking the question is because I do know what to do. And that's a very different
yeah.
twist and flip on the way that most people hold themselves. It is a power perspective. I want to know, what do you think is the cause of a lot of frustration? You said stuck a few times, and I know there are people out there who say that admitting or even putting yourself in a stuck position is not a place of empowerment. So one could say, I'm not actually stuck. I'm moving through it, right? But for me, and I'm curious to hear what you think about this, I don't mind being stuck. I can tell when I'm looping, but I also know that my effort and the actions that I take move me out of those states anyway. So, what would you explain or see as the frustration points and the places that people get into with patterns that are so important to remain aware of?
To answer the beginning of that stuck or not stuck, the answer is both. Because in your mind, if you believe that you're stuck, then you're stuck. In your mind, if you believe that you're working through it, you are working through it. So I think it depends on how you're actually looking at it to begin with. And sometimes things just feel stuck when really they're not.
What do you think that people need to know about the way that patterns and frustration and pain operates in their body?
I want to start by not answering that directly, but by saying that I have this really wild way in which I operate where I am very willing to see myself. So, the way that I feel like patterns operated in me was I noticed it as a sequence. And I noticed it as what I was doing throughout my day. That is where the framework that I developed for Rhythmic Being, I had this internal conversation going on. I was having an experience. This was a big part of it. Life is not happening to us. I was programmed from a young age to feel like everything was being done to me. I had this lens that I was seeing life through, that life was happening to me. I had to shift out of that and recognize for my own self. I realized I'm just having an experience. This isn't happening to me because the truth was is that I was an adult now and I wasn't being abused. Nobody was doing anything to me. But here's where it comes back, but it felt that way. Being stuck. You feel stuck, but then somebody else could say, "No, I'm moving through it." Yeah, but how are you looking at it? Because that matters. You're having this internal conversation with yourself all the time, and then I'm having the experience, and I'm the person that needs a lot of space, and my space is important to me. I recognized the patterns and how much choice did I really have? It was like I had this moment where I knew that it was a matter of access, and I wasn't actually accessing what I knew was available to me. I just knew that more was available to me, but I wasn't accessing it, that I felt stuck. in what felt like some kind of pattern that was not actually me.
Yep.
Did I
Yep.
answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. I just felt like it was important to shift that stuck narrative because I actually feel like when I'm looping, I am a bit stuck. It's not saying I'm stuck in the mud and I can't get out of it. It's more of that recognition point. You're like, oh, wait, I've been here before. I don't want to be in this situation. And similarly, I can see the pattern. And it is
Sure.
very interesting to me how the place where we start are those moment to moment
Yes.
spaces. The way that you live out your day. And of course, you have an inner narrative that's always writing the script. So, yeah, it's really powerful. What changed for you? How much did focusing on this change your life?
It changed my life in ways that going through something and processing it in the way that it felt before and the way that it feels now is entirely different. And it's more of a felt experience than anything. And because truly the only control, and we all know this, we all want to be in control, right? But we're not in control of the external, only
Mhm.
in control of the internal. So if we put it simply that you feel like shit and you don't want to feel like shit, then knowing what I knew and then utilizing what I utilize now and then knowing how I feel now is like A to Z. It's more of a felt thing than anything, but isn't that one of the most important things? Doesn't everyone want to feel better? What's making us feel so bad to begin with? A lot of people would name about a million things outside of themselves when really it's everything inside of yourself. So for me, I realized that once I started seeing it differently, applying this sequence, I started to just become incredibly aware. And it was like stuff started lifting off of me. And it, whether that be, I really will just call it energetic weight because, like, when people say, oh, it feels so heavy, what feels heavy? Nothing's on you. It's really funny that it's a feeling, it's internal control, it's all of this stuff. That's why I always talk about energy because these aren't things that we actually see, but we sure as hell feel them.
Yeah, and I always think about your analogy of I'm stepping on the scale
Oh,
and
yeah.
realizing that you're 20 pounds overweight and how it just adds up
Yeah.
so fast and easy. I feel like this goes so perfectly with the metaphor of your work. Tell
No,
me about what you do.
it's a heavy thing, right? You go bitch and complain all day long and you gained about 20 pounds of bitching and complaining.
Yep.
It,
It has a big cost.
it
I
does.
tell people this all the time. There's certain people that I'm in proximity to that have a pattern of complaining that I try every once in a while to remind them of the effects of that, but I can see it because it's actually something that I starved out of myself
Yes.
15 years ago. Because I knew that I was addicted to complaining about my job in order to give myself a break. It was like I had to feel like I was suffering so bad to even slow down and take time off because I was in this pattern of really just push and push.
Yep.
And I realized that and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm complaining just so I can feel bad about myself so that I can get other people to feel bad for me." And then when they feel bad for me, then I feel like, "Oh, now you can go easier on yourself." But
When
none
you
of it was about anything outside of me and my own experience. So I just stopped that pattern. I knew it was toxic. And now, years and years later, I can see this in other people, and it is a heavy load. It is a heavy load.
And you do that honestly because, like, when we talked about when you asked me, "What's the difference?" and I said, "It's how you feel," and that was essentially, like, your way of getting relief. It's how people get
Exactly.
relief. It's no different than when people say that they eat their feelings.
Exactly.
and then they're physically overweight. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah,
Same thing.
yep.
Yeah, so tell us about what you do. Everybody wants to know, what's your magic?
So I have my rhythmic reset, and they are my one-to-one sessions, and we hone right in on the pattern, and we work together to notice what is actually going on inside of you. What is it that you're doing in the day to day? We all have this head knowledge, right? People always talk about belief and choices, and they do affirmations and all of these things. And I just really wanted to make this right to the point. I wanted to take that high level spiritual aspect, but then bring it down to a simplified version that we could really get somebody a result, whether they weren't moving forward or I'm just right here and I keep repeating, or however it is you want to say it for the people that don't want to hear the stuck word. I just naturally have this gift of awareness that I can, when I say see, it's really something that I sense. I can sense a pattern. I think I developed this when I was young because I was navigating an intense home environment and you didn't know what you were going to get. So I learned to read in this way. I naturally can do this with people. And this is what I do in my sessions. If people are at a point where they're pivoting in life, or they don't know what to do next, or don't know how to move forward. People say stuff like this all of the time, or I'm shifting careers and I need clarity. I help people self-source and understand, what does that even mean for them? Like, how are they supporting themselves to begin with? And come to find out, most people don't,
Mhm,
because a lot of them have a fierce external focus. And I get it,
mhm.
because I did too. I wanted everyone to give me the answers to my questions, and I didn't realize that they weren't supposed to. I was supposed to give them to myself, but I didn't know how the hell to do that. Now I help people do that.
Such an important, powerful shift. That's priceless.
Yeah.
Getting into that awareness is life-changing in every aspect of your experience. Tell
Yeah.
me where people can find you. How can they work with you?
I am super focused doing short form content on TikTok right now, but you can find
Mhm.
me on Facebook. You can go to my website. So it's rhythmicbeing.com. My blog is on there. I have really been on a mission focusing on TikTok. So tons of free great content on there and building that up. I have a 3-part guided audio series for dissolving pain, rewiring memories, and restoring flow that is on my website as well. Or you can go to rhythmicbeing.com/pain.
Amazing. Thank you
Mm.
so much for being here, and everybody who's listening, you can find all of the links in the show notes. And it was such a pleasure to talk to you, Robin. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.